thank God I was blessed to have both in my life, both historic, strong figures. But if I misuse them and listen to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are and why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant and unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward what you ought to be about tonight. Everybody good to you ain't good for you. Everybody that makes you laugh sometimes end up making you a joke.
Come on. We've reduced a lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest, who can run around the pulpit more, or who got the dresses fancy, and don't deal with the ministry. Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How do you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. They kept telling Jesus, let's go, look, we got a schedule, we got people to see. He said it again, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind man told Jesus, if you are who you say you are, you're going to stop and see me. And if you stop and see me, you will confirm who you are. But when we are pastoring and leading in communities with bad health, we cannot be the followers and representatives of Jesus and walk by people that are sick and we not be part of making them well.
Tony Wafer, Los Angeles chapter, NASDAQ Network. He just came in here to New York a couple days ago, had to stop by the House of Justice, and I sure enough found some justice. So I know I can leave here feeling like I got peace.
It's Tuesday, December 30th.
Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for these next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. Good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk becomes power and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. For the next 3 hours, you can join the conversation. All you have to do is call at 1-877-532-5797, or you can go on the message board and send me a message on the message board at live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net, as Barbara Mason's doing right now, saying, good afternoon, Reverend Al, and Nan will good afternoon, Barbara. And James Thomas is saying good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton and Nan chat room, and happy Tell It Like It Is Tuesday. I like that, James. Let's call that Tell It Like It Is Tuesday. Now, we are 2 days away from being in the middle of New Year's Day. Tomorrow's New Year's Eve, second day is New Year's Day. So 25 is gone. As we approach the last hours of 2025, where are we? We have a president that has blatantly, in your face, with no apologies and no hesitation, has said that I am against people of color around the world and in this country. Now, if you think that that's a overstatement, the fact that he has called black countries from Haiti to Africa S-hole countries, the fact that he has done an airstrike just this past weekend on Nigeria, on an area that people said there was nobody there with ISIS, nobody there trying to kill Christians. The fact that he is on the shores now making land attacks on Venezuela, brown people. The fact that he has, in this domestic country, the domestic issues, made one of his main planks in the diversity, equity, and inclusion, which directly affects jobs, directly affects contracts. The fact that he has had the Department of Justice say they're now going to investigate people that are in business, that their contracts and hiring was based on diversity. So if you can look at all that and say, well, no, I don't know that he wants to reverse civil rights, he has said it. I just laid out the elements. This is not up for debate. He's telling you, I am not for fighting for diversity. I'm not for y'all keeping the voting rights that got y'all seats in power. I am not for y'all controlling oil anywhere on the globe. And I'm going to stop it. Now, the only question that remains, and you have less than 48 hours to answer it, is what are we going to do to stop him from stopping us? Because he has already done some in the courts. What are we going to do to stop him? And are you going to be part of whatever it is you think we should do? That's the only question. We can tweet, we can go online and TikTok, We can go on cable television. You can talk all the crap you want. You can talk about the leaders ain't this. You can talk about the members in the Democratic Party ain't that. What are we going to do about it? That's all that's left. And I want to talk about that today, things that you think we should be doing. And it may be more than one thing. It may be fighting to keep the right to vote and boycotting companies and buying stock, which we're doing, going to stockholders meeting, and dealing with education. But what is it you think we ought to be doing in 26? Why don't you put your thinking cap on today? You want to know who my guest is? You're my guest. What is it you think we ought to be doing? Yvonne Jackson says, give us some suggestions. I just gave them to you. Are we talking about voting? Are we talking about education? Are we talking about boycotts? Are we talking about, what are we talking about? And then how do we commit ourselves in there? If I'm convinced, if we can get a consensus of 3 to 5 things that most of us agree to doing, and get a tenth of us to do it, we can stop Trump. My conclusion is that the reason he's gotten away with so much is we've not made up our minds to fight back, and we have not made up our mind in fighting back that we're going to use our strongest suit, our strongest weapon to win the fight. I really think, and I didn't want to believe this at first, but I really think that Trump being elected last November shocked so many of us that we were still in a shock wave most of the year. And I think that we now got to face the fact he is the president. He has a majority of Congress. He has a majority of the Supreme Court. All right, that's the way the field is laid out. That's the playing field. Now, what do we do? And some of us been doing it. Some of us been marching and boycotting and dealing with voting, like here in New York City we've dealt with, and Pennsylvania, and judges, and the referendum on the ballot in California. Some of us snapped out of it earlier. But now as we go into New Year's, before you all be blowing the whistles and watching the ball drop up the block here where we are in Times Square, what is it you see? Because I guarantee you we cannot go through another year like this. Tomorrow night, ACA expires, Affordable Care Act. When Congress come back, unless they can do something retroactive, that's going to affect 23 million people. No health care. Supreme Court's going to come back before June on whether they're going to keep Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. If they take it out, we no longer will have districts based on racial fairness and protection. And it will, in fact, overturn the Voting Rights Act. We're not facing danger. We're there. What are you going to do? What are you willing to do? And what are we bold enough to say this is what we're facing? Let's talk about all of that today. And, you know, talking on the radio nationally is better than talking to your neighbor. People need to hear what you got to say. And if you ain't got nothing to say, then you need to stop acting like you do. Looking in the news, we see the federal authorities is really escalating in Minneapolis about saying that there's defrauding of immigrants and the use of immigration money, saying it was looted. Now, Trump has rolled out a $50 billion rural health fund. This is for his supporters because he's killing them with these tariffs. So now he's going to come with a $50 billion rural health fund. And beginning next year, states will receive money from the Rural Health Transformation Program, averaging $200 million and ranging between $145 million and $281 million. Dr. Oz, administrator for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, announced in November. It is very interesting. And of course, well, there's a lot more. Let's take the break. We come back, open up the phones. Let's talk about it. We're talking today about where we at and what you're going to do about it or what you think needs to be done. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Keeping it real.
Tony Wafer, Los Angeles chapter, NASDAQ Network. He just came in here to New York a couple days ago, had to stop by the House of Justice, and I sure enough found some justice, so I know I can leave here feeling like I got peace.
Reverend Sharpton, how do we begin to make peace with our past?
I don't think it's our obligation to make peace with our past. I think it's our obligation to learn from our past and to understand that soon we gonna be the past. I mean, a lot of us act like we gonna be permanent and that the past is the past. If we draw on the strengths of the past and uphold the dignity and the integrity of our people and then perform it at our highest level in our generation, as Dr. Moss said, that's our obligation. You know, one of the reasons that I've been so concerned about this cultural tone that we're in now is a lot of us have lost the dignity that our community has shown from Jamestown to now. I've questioned some of the artists that no longer sing to uplift us. And there's never been a generation that didn't use our music and our culture to lift us up. And the excuse is where they say, well, we just want to show what's there. But we never just accepted what was there. We always looked at what was there and looked through it and brought our people the way it needed to be. So in slavery time, we were singing Go Down Moses and Swing Low Sweet Chariot. We wasn't singing about the cotton picking nigga in the field. That's what we saw, but that's not what we sang. In slavery, in segregation time, we were singing We Shall Overcome. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. We wasn't singing the hoe in the back of the bus. So where is this coming from? And that's what we need to challenge. I wish, you know, all of this about our friend Barack announcing today, I wish Obama had announced here, because Lincoln did not free us. The abolitionist movement freed us. Lincoln accommodated to freedom fighters. He was not a freedom fighter. Kennedy accommodated the king. Johnson accommodated the king. We got to quit giving the wrong people credit for our history.
London, yeah. We've got many problems there. We need you over our side. Yeah, you're invited anytime, please. Whenever you want to come.
There we go.
Guys,
So we are in not a political dilemma, we are in a moral dilemma. And if the black church does not come with a prophetic voice, then who's going to do it? We can go through all the data, all the statistics, all we're going through in the workshops, but the question is, where is the action going to be? We all believe in Jesus. Jesus didn't teach theology, he healed people. And they learned the nature of the theology based on his healing. We've got to heal this nation. And if we heal this nation, the nation will return to our churches. But we've become silent and compromised. And we try to blame it on, I'm not in this. You are in this. You live it, your members live it. Unemployment now is higher now than it's been since the pandemic. Yet we survive. Yes, sir. There's no history in the world of any people that went through the kind of psychological, cultural, and physical slavery like blacks did in America. The only reason we're still here is because of our faith. We had no external strength. We had an internal strength. And it was the God that we were taught by our mamas and grandmamas that brought us through. And I don't care who's sitting in the White House, we cannot betray the God that brought us through.
We have a short visit today. So we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We were with Gold. Yeah, we was here.
They were on the plantation.
Right, our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Last time, and we
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying here?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slave.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly. The two people that most influenced my life were from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went for his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket. to South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people come too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And when I knew Jesse was from James, I started president.
Yeah.
And James had died before I knew about him in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story for February of 07. They came in January. His daughter swear that was his daddy and helping push the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told him, you know, that my great grandmother was a slave about 40. Because we can go right up to our 20. He said, I told you we was connected. That's why you got to listen to me.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we are back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Or you can go on our message board at nationalactionnetwork.net. And I see Makoko Moses says, am from Kenya. We are being watched at in Kenya. Glad to have you. And glad to be with you. I believe I'm trying to read smart. Is it smartest? Oh no, Martise Chisholm, 2025. Martise Chisholm, 2025 says 1966. I remember when they controlled the South after the voting rights was passed. Stokely coined the phrase Black Power after my great grandmother was killed in 1966. We didn't live up. We didn't give up. We fought. Wow, Martise, I love that. That's exactly what happened. That's the history. That's the history. Let me get into some of the announcements because I really want to get into the history and lead us into this discussion today of where we're going. Because I think a lot of us are just walking around in a daze and talking to each other crazy talk and not really saying this. We're in a real rut. We're in real danger. They're about to take everything. So all of this philosophizing and who you like and who you don't like and who shot John, we ain't got time for that now. Where are we in history? They're about to take everything, whether you thought they were good or bad, they were all we had, and they gave us some level of leverage to take care of our families. Did we have our own nation? No. But we were not in the back of the bus. We were not where we wouldn't have anything legally that could be taken. They're getting ready to go back on that. Whether you are a civil rights person, black power person, black revolutionary, whatever, all of us getting ready to go back. What are we going to do about it? And let me tell you something. They are not hiding it. They're telling you to your face. We're in the diversity. They're telling you to your face that civil rights hurt this country. Giving black folks their right hurt this country. This is what they're saying. Now, a lot of y'all don't want to hear it because you don't want to have to deal with it. But they're not leaving it for interpretation. They're telling you. So let's take some calls on. I want to hear what y'all got to say last couple of days of this year. Let me say by way of announcements, don't forget this weekend, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. I'm going to end the year and begin the new year with some of our senators and congressmen challenging them. How are we going to turn this around in 26? It's a midterm election year. I want to know, what is it that you want people to do at home? How do we do it? How do we get in this rut? And what are y'all going to do about this man in the White House? From the Epstein files to him attacking Venezuela without the Congress voting on it. What are y'all going to do? Make sure you watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, both Saturday and Sunday on MS Now.
You should make a New Year's resolution that you're going to watch the show every week or tape it every week. Then you in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, meet me at the House of Justice Saturday morning, the first Saturday rally of 26. We're going to straighten out tricks in 26. I'm going to speak on where we need to go. This may be the last year that we can salvage anything. And I'm really going to get into it. I want you in the house, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the House of Justice, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue, and in the village of Harlem. And, of course, you that are not in the New York area can watch it live on nationalactionnetwork.net live stream or on our message board. Live stream on our message board, you can make comments, but live stream will show the rally 9 to 11 as we're doing it live. Or you can watch it on Impact Television. I think it is really sad to me that so many of us have rolled over and sort of said, I give up. Ouch, I give up. And the reason it's sad is because I see Women of Virtue Development 179 says what is sad is we deal with the political struggle, racial divide, and this unfortunate inner city crime we're dealing with on a constant basis. We have so many demonic entities. Yes, we do. You're absolutely right. But let me give you the answer to that. So did our great-grandparents. And they had it and worse because they were slaves. My great-grandfather, Coleman Sharpton, did some research, was sold after being a slave in Edgefield, South Carolina for years to Florida. They were sold like a bar soap. Yet they found a way to end slavery, to break the yoke of slavery, to break those chains, those shackles that was holding them down. They didn't say it was a shame. They said it's a shame and let's do something about it. And they did. Then they went through 100 years sitting in the back of the bus, couldn't drink from a water fountain at all, couldn't deal with basic human dignity in a country that they fought and died for. People went to World War I, went to Europe, went to Germany and others and died. And those that lived come back to the South, and the Germans and the Japanese and others could sit in front of the bus ahead of them, could eat at whatever restaurant. But they figured out, our people, how to deal with it, and they did. And they changed it. Then got us voter protection. And we went from the outhouse in Mississippi and Alabama to the White House with a black family. Now it's our turn. Grandma, grandpa did their part. Daddy and mama did their part. Brought us from the drama to Obama. Now what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Nobody understands more than I do how bad it is. I travel all over the country. I know how bad it is. But it has been worse. And we came from people who figured it out. Some of our forefathers, you got to remember now, they figured this out. And it was against the law for them to read and write till about 100 years ago. Against the law. Yet they figured it out. We can figure this out. We have more education, more money, more resources, no matter how broke you are. We have more resources than our forefathers ever had. As much as I'm trying to do this and do that and adjust this, adjust that, I have more resources and more money than anybody in the history of my family. And it's not only because I got a TV and radio show. It would be that way if I didn't, because I have the options they didn't have, and guess what? They gave me those options, and they gave them to you. So we're going to talk about what we can't do when they showed us what we could do. The first thing you need to do it is to have the will to do it. The problem we got is we have lost our will. I say a poem every morning after I say my prayers by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Ella Wheeler Wilcox. I was doing 3 months in federal jail for leading a protest against the Navy bombings in Vieques, Puerto Rico, 2001. And the former mayor of Atlanta, Georgia, Maynard Jackson, came to visit me in jail and gave me that poem called Will by Ella Wilcox Wheeler. It says, there's no chance, no destiny or fate that can hinder or control the firm resolve of a determined soul. Gifts count for nothing. Will alone is great. All things fall before it, sooner or late. I read that poem every morning before I leave my bedroom after I've been on my knees praying, meditated. That's my poem. Will, everything that I'm going to do in the day that I walk out that room, headed to the gym to work out, and on from there, is based on my will. Yeah, I get tired sometimes. Say, man, I wish I didn't get up 4 in the morning and get in the gym by 5:15. But it's will that makes me do it. That same will we must have against this era of Trump tyranny. Will. Will to make you figure out what you haven't been able to see yet. Do you have the will? We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
We've reduced a lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest, who could run around the pulpit more, or who got the dresses fancy, and don't deal with the ministry. Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. They kept telling Jesus, let's go, look, we got a schedule, we got people to see. He said it again, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind man told Jesus, if you are who you say you are, you're going to stop and see me. And if you stop and see me, you will confirm who you are. But when we are pastoring and leading in communities with bad health, we cannot be the followers and representatives of Jesus and walk by people that are sick and we not be part of making them well.
I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors. But there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about it is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I help formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughters started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself.
You live, Rev.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797.
Naomi Jones is on our message board. You can go to message board at live stream at National Action Network. And Naomi's saying we need to research how our elected officials are voting on the changes to legislation and publicly hold them accountable for new legislation that serves our needs collectively. Forgive the typos. January 10th, after the rally, we will have special. Now, Naomi hit one assignment. I like that. That's what I want to hear is different ideas. I like that. I think that, I'm going to say to staff here at NAN, we need to set up at our chapters around the country a research committee that we can every week, since we meet every Saturday, report on the legislation that went before both your city council, your state legislatures, and your members of Congress, and how they voted. I mean, they need to know that we are breathing down their back. If we could do a weekly, at the least monthly chart of the votes, what they did. What did they vote on with welfare reform? What did they vote on with investment in entrepreneurs, businesses, entrepreneurial businesses? What did they vote on diversity? What did they vote on Epstein file? And just put it out. Naomi, you gave me an idea. I'm going to follow that up. Because most of us that do vote, and most of us don't vote, let me start there. But most of us that do vote, go in there and vote 2 years and don't even check the person's record out till 2 years later. And if they made you feel good, you vote for them again. And if they come in your hall or your tennis association or your block meeting or your church and rile you up, oh, great. No, we need to be a little more methodical than that. We need to say, we got the weekly or the monthly report on you. Why did you vote on this environmental issue this way? We are not educated enough on our leadership, which gives them, watch this now, it gives them the freedom to make deals against our interests because they don't feel anybody's watching. If they know there's a group that is monitoring their votes, they know more in that cloakroom. Wait a minute, I got to go home and live with this. I can't do that one. But right now, there's no organized way to just report. I'm talking about to their voters. If you're in a district and you're monitoring your congressperson, you are relating to their voters that you know they stepped out of line on this one, or they cut a deal with Trump on this one, or they watered this down. And they have no fear of that happening because we're not doing something. That's very simple. With social media, you can go online and find out who voted for what, every piece of legislation. I like that. You just gave National Action Network a new assignment because I'm definitely going to get the staff on that one. Let's go to the phones. Let's start in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, WURD, The Word. Start Brother Jacob. Brother Jacob, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Peace be unto you, Reverend Al, and to your worldwide listeners, man. Peace in this new year coming.
Peace.
But you know, Reverend Al, what you said in your monologue, that enough is knowing that we can't give up, and failure is not an option in our black struggle here in this America, man. You know, man, first of all, I'd like to welcome another black billionaire into the fold, Beyonce. I mean, you know, we have no excuse because they didn't have the resources that we have as black people. And like you said, they forged ahead. They made a way for us to do what we have to do. And for one, I want to thank you, Reverend Al, for letting God use you to serve people, right? Not only black people, because, you know, I know NAN, the National Action Network, you know, but the least of his, as the scripture says, you know, because when you go out to help I don't know. I guess they would call you a black leader, because they like to label things.
Right.
You a leader, period, for the American people. Because what's good for black people ain't that good for all people?
Yes,
Good
sir.
is good and bad is bad, right? That's
That's
for all
right.
people. That's universal, you know. And we're learning more and more that voting has consequences, man.
Yep.
Look at what we got for too many people not participating. To all, I don't care what label you wear, whether you be what did my brother call himself? You got an African mindset or something like that, so you're not gonna get into this thing, this America where you was 3/5 of a human being, all that talk. I'm talking about today because you was mentioning out of all we seen that happen, what are we gonna do now, right? And so nobody and we see what we got. And to the real American patriot, the ones that I don't care what color or label you wear, the ones that love this democracy and freedom and see where this thing could go, see how you could see a more perfect union than what we have now, right? To them, I say, if you don't want it to go to American fascism, white supremacy, and the other ugly things we see that these people produce, right? We see this. Ain't nobody stupid no more, Reverend Al. You know, being here, my imam always teach us in our Jumu'ah Friday prayers. He says a lot. He said, why don't he tells us to go after the low-hanging fruit, In other words, in Islam, if you ain't making 5 prayers a day, make one. Start with the one, and then build from there. But what I'm saying is this. We the people, Reverend Al, can vote out this thing that we see. The low-hanging fruit to me is if we take the House and the Senate.
Yeah.
Ain't that a start, Reverend Al?
Absolutely. A big start. A big start. Because if you take the House and the Senate, you block him from being able to do whatever it is they want to do because they have to run through the Congress. The reason he can run shot on the citizens is there's no balance. That's why whatever my opinion of the founding fathers of the country were, they did do one thing right. They had a balance of powers: judicial branch, executive branch, legislative branch. Went to sleep, got to talking crazy about we don't want a woman president and all that, and helped them tip there is no balance now. And why what you're saying, Brother Jacob, would be important in terms of taking the House and the Senate back is it would bring balance back. They couldn't just run through everything they want to run through. Like right now, the courts are stopping them from sending in his ICE folks into Chicago. I had the mayor of Chicago on last week, this past weekend on Politics Nation. We'll have others on this weekend. The courts did. Without the balance, he could do what he want to do. So if you got a person that is so arrogant that in the middle of people's snaps being canceled and federal workers not being able to go to work, he should end up designing a $300 million ballroom. Imagine what he would do if he couldn't come again after next year and have no bumps in the road to stop him or slow him down. We're talking danger here. Let's go to Deborah in Atlanta, Georgia. Deborah, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hi, Reverend Sharpton. So I really like what Naomi said. I was following on that line. Mine's is a little bit more in reference to the states. There are 50 states, and dealing with, y'all, you have to understand, get these governors out of office.
Right.
Get the governors out of office in your states. Brian Kemp is out of here. And when you have several people that are running, you also have to understand you have to pick and choose. You cannot divide your vote. We are stronger together. Like cities within cities, I was so angry when I found out who divided our city. We're stronger as a force, as together. And I'm just talking about black. I'm talking about black, white, green, gold, whatever it is. When we work together, we are stronger. So once you get these individuals out of office or you figure out who you want to vote for, let's say if you got 4 or 5 candidates, we can't split those votes up 4 and 5 different ways. You choose the 2 the two that are saying the most of what you want to hear, that's going to take you in the direction of the state to where you want to go in, and you put your forces behind those two. Now, when one is losing, then you put your forces behind that one, and those two people should work together. Who says you can't get the person right up under you to work with you? Why do you always think that you can only be the one that's winning and that you're the winner and the other person goes on about their way? You have to learn that you can work together. So let's say 1 and 2 is running a race. With 5 people running the race, now we're down to 2. You don't have to be slinging in the mud together. Sometimes you can get in the bed together and make things happen. I'm not meaning that in a bad way.
Right.
And you can also let that person work on your staff with you. You understand? So we have to start thinking and moving differently. And I don't look in, I'm colorblind, Reverend Sharpton. I am so colorblind. And so when I say that, people, I mean that I look at the heart, I look at your record, I look at what you're saying, I look at what you're doing. So because we need to, I see a lot more people are getting on the same train, but now we got to get the train moving. And I feel like when the people call you and talk about what people are not doing, start getting their names and numbers and say, okay, here, you want to talk about what we're doing? Let me get your name and number, and let me assign you to do this. And then what you could do is, when we have people that are running in different states and things of that nature, we can get those candidates. We can start endorsing those candidates by being proactive, getting those names out there. Because a lot of times people go to the polls and they don't even know who to vote for. So if the names are out there, basically for major elections, we can put those names out there.
I like
and put those, put those on the people's minds. So when they go on that poll, they know exactly who they're looking for.
I like it. I love it. I love it. I love it. We getting some concrete suggestions today. I love it. Let's take a break. Be right back. More of you on the phones and on the message board right after this. National Action Network Change Choir. Give them a hand. Give them a big hand. Certainly we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning for the Saturday Action Rally. For you that are here live at the House of Justice, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue in the village of Harlem. And for you that are listening live on 107.5 WBLS in New York, and you that are watching us around the country on Impact Television, we're happy to be with you again to give our report on where the action is. Give a hand today, our presiders, Dominique Sharpton, and we're glad that Dominique. Give a hand, our inspirational speaker, Minister Christian Matthew. Minister Matthew was double duty today, and many, because of the weather, didn't make it. I was surprised to see so many of you got here this morning. But some of us determined. I was really surprised to see Tony. He usually run when he sees something white. But he sees something white, he get to running. He never got over Casper the Friendly Ghost. And give a hand to our Minister of Music, Minister Tyrone Richardson. And of course, our band, give a hand, Chris Garland, Raymond and Guy Jenkins, and Brother Malcolm Seal, give them a big hand. Let me say, and I want to get into several things, but let me first thank all of you that came out and served on Christmas Day. We had probably more than we've ever had of people coming to have a meal with us or get a meal. We had got so crowded we had to give people a meal and tell them they got to go home and eat it. Because people
jammed up in here, but we had volunteers that handled it. And I was talking to someone this morning, telling them that we will be next March, National Action Network will be 35 years old. And every year, in the 34 years that we started, we've never not served hot meals on Christmas Day. Never. Now, and I think about over the last 35 years, 34 years, and that we've been there. Many groups have come and gone, and we're still here and growing. And I thank all of you that have been part of it as long as you have. I think that that says something about the endurance of the organization. So give yourselves a hand. And some people come and go, and that's all right. And then others stay, and that's all right. And others are in between. That's all right. But when I come out and I see, even in this weather, that everybody come, I look out there and Tisha done come and got an orange on and got out here anyhow. AJ got his red sweater on and got a red hair to match. Y'all see that AJ got his hair and his turtleneck matching. AJ didn't know I noticed stuff when he was singing, "Your change will come." He talking about his hairdo. And let me thank all of you again for Christmas. Let me say I was blessed on Christmas Day. Down through the years, we have always, early in there, we would also go to Chicago to Reverend Jackson and spend Christmas with his family. And on this past Thursday, Christmas, Dominique and Ashley and I went and flew to Chicago after we did the serving here and see Reverend Jackson and his family and spend Christmas evening with them. And as many of you know, Reverend Jackson suffers with Parkinson's and palsy, and he can't walk or talk, but he laid there and held my hand, and he can make motions. And his daughter's in the back other room talking to Dominique and Ashley, talking about how they grew up. Dominique and Ashley younger than them. They used to go get their Christmas toys. So it's wonderful to have a union in the movement, because we were like family. You know, when you spend Christmas in folks' house, and I can't think of a house that we lived in Inglewood or Brooklyn, that Reverend Jackson didn't come to our house. It's a family thing, because people that are in freedom fighting understand each other better than others, so we end up being together. Because some of the stuff y'all do don't make sense to us, and some of the stuff we do don't make sense to y'all. And so I was very blessed to be there with him for Christmas. Talking about that, I want all of us to keep in prayer family of Reverend C. Vernon Mason. His wife passed, who we've known down through the years, and her funeral is on Monday at Friendship Baptist Church. C. Vernon Mason, who came through the years, are with us. You know, I think a lot of us, when I look at the fact that many of us are judgmental and unactive or inactive, and then when I look at those that are active, we try to find fault. I don't care what somebody's done. If they fought for you, you ought to give them some credit. Many of us never fought for nobody. And, you know, sometimes we get mad, fall out, and make up, but the harvest is right, but the laborers are few. And we need to thank God for those that have labored in the vineyard, because right now the siege that we're under this man, this president, we can't afford to deal with this with our pettiness. All hands need to be on deck, because he has gone and taken us into areas that are very challenging and need to be dealt with. Let me say, in that spirit, you know, they're trying to redraw all of the districts around the country that they can. One of the districts they're trying to redraw is in Missouri. And I'm going to have Congressman Reverend Emmanuel Cleaver. They're trying to redraw his district so that he will lose his election. Been there for many years. And member of Congress. I'm going to have him on Politics Nation, 5 o'clock today. I'm going to have the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, on. Because these mayors and these members of Congress are catching a fit under this administration. This is real. And what we must understand is, if it's fighting crime in Chicago when the president is sending in ICE and sending in others, that they're grabbing people that they're accusing of being there illegal, but they're not grabbing the people that's bringing in illegal guns. With all of the gang warfare and all of the streets that are seeing shootings in Chicago, where was all of the federal government sending folk in that were selling illegal guns to our children? There's no gun manufacturers buildings in Chicago. They don't manufacture guns in Chicago. Ain't no gun ranges in Chicago. But they flood the hood with guns. But they send in ICE to look for folk that they think may not be there, and they grab you and let you prove yourself to be innocent. I'm going to talk about that with Mayor Johnson today. And of course, the redistricting. One of the things that
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. Or you can go to our message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net and go to live stream. And Donnie Don is on our message board saying, Ujama, cooperative economics, Kwanzaa principles, we must support organizations, businesses, etc. that support us. Today, he says, is Nia, is purpose. And I told you earlier in the week, I practice Christmas, even though I question the date, and Kwanzaa. And one don't conflict with the other. Dr. Malana Karanga, who founded Kwanzaa in 1966, many years later spoke at the House of Justice. The 50th anniversary of Kwanzaa, he came and spoke for us. And he said he purposely started Kwanzaa the day after Christmas so people wouldn't say to black Christians that, oh, that's against, y'all trying to go up against Christmas and the birth of Christ. He said you can choose to do either or both. You know, I just find that it's always about some people, that they're going to find a reason to have some conflict. You can walk into peaceful waters. What was the song? As peaceful waters flowing, you'll find something to have conflict. There is nothing. That was part of my message Saturday past at Saturday Action Rally. Nothing in Kwanzaa that not only doesn't contradict what Jesus taught, it complements it. Now, that doesn't mean everybody in Kwanzaa believes in Jesus. No, everybody following Jesus believes in Kwanzaa. But don't create a dichotomy that's not there. Let's go back to the phone. Let me go to Brother Gregory in South Carolina. Gregory.
Yes, good afternoon, Reverend Al.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. first of all, that was a very inspirational opening statement that you provided to the people. It reminded me to some degree of Noah in the Bible when he was trying to tell the people it's going to rain. And I think what you were saying to us, Reverend Al, in 2026, it's going to rain. We need to get ready.
That's right.
And yes, sir, I'm a former Army officer, and I want to give a quote from the United States Army to the people and to the civil rights leaders. And this is a quote that they teach us at West Point, at the Annapolis, and at the Air Force Academy. And it's used all throughout the military, and it can be used by the civil rights movement. And this is the quote: "Hope for the best, prepare for the worst." They tell us that every day in the military, Reverend Al. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And what I'm getting at, Reverend Al, is in your opening statement, you talked about the Voting Rights Act, and you talked about DEI as related to the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
Right.
And then you said, what should we be doing in 2026? Well, one thing we need to do, Reverend Al, is to add one more topic to that list that you provided. And that topic is birthright citizenship.
Right.
This December, the United States Supreme Court made an announcement that they will review the Trump birthright citizenship case.
Right.
And in April, they're going to have the arguments, and in either late June or early July, they're going to make that final decision. And as far as what we need to do, Reverend Al, we need to focus on that case. And this is why. The Supreme Court birthright citizenship case could be the most important ruling for Black people concerning civil rights, constitutional rights, and human rights since the Dred Scott decision. Now, what they're doing, Reverend Al, the Republicans, they're downplaying that case, and they're saying this is about immigration, or maybe the Latinos. Black people, you don't need to worry about this case. But Reverend Al, what you said in your opening statement, I had to call in. As of January 1st, we, as the civil rights community, we need to make that case the number one case for our people. And this is why, Reverend Al, as far as the who, birthright citizenship concerns over 300 million Americans. You have birthright citizenship. I have birthright citizenship. Over 30 million Black people in this country have birthright citizenship. It's a foundational policy regarding our civil rights since 1868. It's been in effect for over 100 years. But as we've seen, Reverend Al, the Trump administration has sort of a pattern. They bring up a long-held, long-standing civil rights law that's been in place, a foundational law for Black Americans. They work it through to the federal courts, all the way to the Supreme Court, and what could happen in July 2026, Reverend Al, we could all get a big surprise when the Supreme Court comes with a negative ruling regarding our initial citizenship. And the main point, Reverend Al, is that that ruling, combined with what you said, with the Voting Rights Act, it could be like a 1-2 punch in the summer, just 4 months before the midterm election. So these cases could actually somehow negatively affect voting rights, civil rights, and constitutional rights just 4 months before the election. And I wanted, I try to use Google to give the people some information.
Right.
And I want to give a first Google, Reverend Al, and I hope that you get some time. I know you're very busy, but this is a documentary that I would ask everyone to watch. And this is the Google. Frontline, Trump and the Rule of Law. That's Frontline, Trump and the Rule of Law. Have you seen that documentary yet, Reverend Al?
No, I have not.
Well, Reverend Al, I know you, when you're traveling, you got your iPad. If you get some time, and all the brothers and sisters out there and civil rights leaders, we all need to watch this documentary because it shows step by step how the Republicans are overturning, as you say, turning back the clock on civil rights, DEI, affirmative action, and now they're trying to turn back the clock on our first right, which was birthright citizenship. That's Frontline, Trump, and the Rule of Law. And the key thing about that documentary, it shows the dynamic between the president and the Supreme Court and why they're mostly rubber stamping all of these orders that Trump is signing. And the next Google is Trump Executive Order Birthright Citizenship. And it shows that this case could be the biggest civil rights case for our people since the Dred Scott decision. So as far as what to do, Reverend Al, we need to have our top civil rights attorneys, our top civil rights leaders between January 1st, 2026 and July the 1st, 2026, focus on that birthright citizenship case. You mentioned that your great-grandfather was on a plantation in South Carolina. Well, and mine was also, Reverend Al. And if we go back to that time in the 1800s, birthright citizenship was the first right given to our forefathers, to our ancestors. That is what put all of us, black people, under the protections, rights, and privileges of the United States Constitution. So we cannot stand by and endure a process in the next 6 months that can culminate with birthright citizenship being transformed and taken away and turned into Trump citizenship and given to these people. Because just before that election, it could be a withdrawal of our voting rights and withdrawal of our civil rights under a form of Trump citizenship. So to answer your question, Reverend Al, what to do, we need to focus on that birthright citizenship case and focus on it for our ancestors, for ourselves, and for our children in the future. We cannot let them take that away. Thank you very much, Reverend Al.
I think you made it. I love this because people are giving specific things that we need to focus on. You can't go hunting just shooting at all the trees. You got to get your scope and pick at what you're shooting at. Let's go to the Sage of the South.
Let's go to break.
Let's take the break. I'm coming back to the Sage of the South, Brother Jihad, and others of you on the phone, and reading some of your messages. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Keep it in real. Sharpton. Be right back. Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now black vice president, but we still can get shot down.
and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're going to have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep agitating. And I'm going to keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time. Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again.
It's been a long time coming, but I know
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer. Keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It's Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building. Here at the National Action Network, it's about thanks. It's about giving. It's about gratitude. It's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude. It starts with giving. It starts with peace. It starts with love.
Let's go. Before we feed our family, we got to make sure that we feed the community. That's right. That's what it's all about. We had to come with Sharpton phones You come and you make sure you show up, serve the community. That's what it's all about.
We have a young man in the studio who I think is an astounding young brother because of his youth. He's only 19 years old and he's accomplished a lot, and he's here to make a presentation to James Brown, and we'd like to welcome him warmly. His name is Al Sharpton. How about it for Al Sharpton? Al is the national director of the National Youth Movement Incorporated. Right, Al?
That's right.
And what do we have here?
Well, we come to break tradition. We know that in the recording industry that they give a gold record to those that achieve a million seller. But we view your million seller payback as a black record because it is relevant and says many of the things that young blacks have tried to say and could not musically express in our own little way. And we feel the payback is sort of like the theme song of Young Black America in 1974.
Now, before you go into the title tune of your latest album, you have a special guest.
Yeah, I do have a special guest, a young
that's
lady.
going to perform with you.
Yeah.
You're live, Rev. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host. Keeping it real. Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. Keeping it real. 1-877-532-5797, and of course, we can go to our message board at nationalactionnetwork.net and go to live stream. Let me announce, sadly, the passing of gospel great Richard Smallwood. Many of us have enjoyed his music as long as I can remember. And he passed, and he was a great artist, great person, and we honor his life and memory. I woke up this morning with word that my stepmother, who had married my father many years after I was grown and I was with him when he and I finally reconciled, she passed last night. He passed last year, and I talked with her daughter, I guess my stepsister, this morning. So I don't take life for granted because all of us shake our heads toward, man, there's death around. Yeah, and it's going to catch you and me soon or later, sooner or later. So let's recognize and acknowledge the life people lived, but let it challenge us to be more vigilant with the life we live to make a difference. Smallwood made a lot of people's life different. And my stepmother helped my father get his head right. And among other things, I'm sure she did. All that's left when your life is over is not the kind of house you lived in, because it'll be on the market not long after you gone. Not the kind of car you drove, your relatives would drive the car till they traded in for something else. Not what you leave in the bank, because whoever you left it for will run through that or not. Only thing that will matter is what you stood for and what you did. That will only thing will matter about a year or two after you gone, if you remembered at all. Try to live where at least they remember you more than a year. And they remember you because you made a difference or was part of making a difference. Tricia in 1989 is saying on our message board, we underestimated their hatred and bigotry.
They are playing for keeps, and we got cute and didn't want to support Biden Harris. Now we have to fight for our lives. I read that. I'm going to Brother Jihad, but I read that during the break, and I wanted to read it because I absolutely agree with her. We got cute. We got relaxed. We had a black president. We elected him. Trump came as a scared thing, and then we say he's so ridiculous they ain't gonna vote for him again, and they did. And they did. It's bad. I used to be a big boxing fan. Bad to get in the ring and get beat. It's worse when you get in the ring unprepared, too cute to train, and you got beat because you didn't work out, and the guy on the other side did. They were ready. They built Project 25. They had gotten their whole troops together. They had sent Kirk and them into the young people and were doing the youth all over the college campuses, Turning Point. And we were relaxed. We sit up talking, well, I don't know if Kamala, I don't know if they want a woman, I don't know if they want this. Not thinking that it was not about what we thought we wanted. We had two choices, and we know what they were going to do if they got in, and they doing it. Let's go to Brother Jihad, Sage of the South in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Jihad.
Hey, good afternoon, my brother. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Hey, let me follow up on my good friend out of Chicago, North Carolina, and yourself. You asked that important question yesterday on what do we do, and I think you asked Brother C. Wright, and basically the response was that we vote, and that is 1,000% correct. But the other question is, how do we get the people to see the necessity to vote?
Right.
And I think that that's where we kind of like missed the mark, in that the majority of our people have no idea on what the brother in North Carolina just talked about. And the majority of our people are ignoring, like you say, all of these actions that these people are taking on an everyday basis, right in our face, just like you said. So then the question has become, how do we inform and educate and get our people to get excited or just get knowledgeable and then excited about this situation? Because obviously they're doing this, like you say, right in front of our face.
That's right.
So what is the mechanism that we have at our disposal that will make this an everyday issue? I think back in January when you and I talked, you and I talked about the 26th election.
Right.
Right? And how important that would be. But what we didn't do was put a program in place to make that an everyday topic, an everyday issue, a barbershop issue, a beauty salon issue, a church issue, a sorority gathering issue, a teacher issue. We didn't do that part. And I think that that's the part that's missing from what we made this like, it's almost like they took it like a casual thing, Reverend Al, as opposed to as urgent as it is, that every time I open my mouth, I'm repeating what you say, what the brothers say. I don't have any other conversation. I might twinkle a little basketball in there every now and then, or a little football, but 90% of my conversation is what's happening to us and what this particular government is attempting to do to us. And the brother made it so plain and simple, where the reality of it is that's exactly what we have that makes us citizens. That's the crazy part about it. When he talked about it, it just came back clear to me as night and day. Our citizenship is based on birthright, right?
That's
what
exactly
our
right.
citizenship is based on.
That's
So
exactly
then when they first said they were going to talk about this particular issue, we should have been on top of it right then. But our mind went to just the foreigners. Our mind went just to so-called recent immigrants. But the reality of it is our whole relationship in America is based on birthright citizenship, historically.
That Dred
So
Scott
then-
decision, you're absolutely right.
That's right. So we should have been on
Hold it
top
1
of
minute.
it.
I want to hold you over, Jihad, because I want you to finish this. This is extremely important. Let's take one break. We'll be right back. Jihad and others on the phone and the message board. James Thomas on the message board. Jihad just wrote something that I have to say before I go to break. He says, Rev, you can tell the people are still asleep at the wheel. In 2016, Trump thanked black people for not voting, and you can say he thanked us again for not voting in 2024 as well. He sure did now. He said it out of his mouth. Thank y'all for not voting in 16. That's how he beat Hillary. We turned around and did the same thing in 24. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
We've reduced a lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest, who could run around the pulpit more, or who got the dresses fancy, and don't deal with the ministry. Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. Now you know he was broke, Reverend, because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. They kept telling Jesus, let's go, look, we got a schedule, we got people to see. He said it again, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind man told Jesus, if you are who you say you are, you're going to stop and see me. And if you stop and see me, you will confirm who you are. But when we are pastoring and leading in communities with bad health, we cannot be the followers and representatives of Jesus and walk by people that are sick and we not be part of making them well.
That I want to end. He talked about the dry bones in the valley.
Go take it down.
The only reason that the wind could blow life into the bones is because at some point they had to be connected. If the wind had blown into a disconnected body, it still wouldn't have worked. So before he prophesied to the wind, they had to first get the foot bone to connect to the ankle bone, and the ankle bone to the calf bone, and to the knee bone, and the knee bone to the thigh bone. If we are to prophesy to the wind, we must first connect this body. We must connect
Eddie Long to Farrakhan and Cornel West to Elders and Lowry to Sharpton. If we can connect this body, then God will blow the breath of life into our community. But as long as we are disconnected, the wind can't blow because it's blowing on disconnected dry bones. But the good news is that we're the children of people that have been through worse than this, and we're still here. So even though I get despondent, I don't ever get depressed, because I want the world to know you won't beat us, because we're the children of those that took the worst form of slavery and brutality that ever lived, that ever existed. Our parents survived the Middle Passage. Only the strong got here, and then we lost our name, our culture, our religion, and we're still here. But you don't know who we are. We're the children of Chaka Zulu. We're the children of Mary McLeod Bethune. We're the children of Marcus Garvey. We're the children of Martin Luther King. We'll be here. We were first, and we'll be last. We know who we are.
That is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes Black. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight in the courts and the streets, because they're literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they started at Harvard with a Black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, the ACP people put forward together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation, then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in this. Some people report the news, others interpret it, but there are those who transform it into truth. Ari Melba has redefined journalism with intellect, creativity, and courage. He blends culture and current events, politics and poetry, truth and transparency. And in doing so, he reminds us that storytelling is a sacred work. Harry understands that our narrative shape our nation.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Let's go right back to the phone. Let's go to Brother Jihad in Atlanta. Go ahead, Brother Jihad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Reverend Al. Every organization that we have has to make this an issue, have to take the responsibility to spread these messages to their followers or supporters or congregation. It has to be, you know what I mean? And I think one time I said, every preacher, every imam in the Black Muslim community, this has to be the topic of discussion on Sunday and Friday and Saturday. You know what I mean? This has to be, and it has to be consistent. And if we don't do this, then we're not going to be able to get the people educated and stimulated to this. I mean, it's just real practical, Reverend Al. You told us how you do something every day. You get up with an intention to do it every day, and we see the benefits of your change in lifestyle. We see the benefits in the exercising and the food you eat. We see the benefits. That's because you do it every day. You're committed to do it every day. We have to become committed to do this every day. You know what I mean? Somebody who's smart enough out there, take all of these things that Trump has done to us and put it on a web page and put it on, and then send it out, and then let us all send it out to our friends on the web. I think they call it friends, how you friend somebody on the web page.
Right.
Send this information out and talk about how we need to talk about it and become aware of it. We might not get everybody, but if we got 25% of our people who pick this message up, that's enough to change this particular situation clearly. And Reverend, can I end with one other thing? And this is very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
There's a brother on Facebook and YouTube named Chad Jackson. I think this is his name. And I need you to pull him up because he's dogging Reverend Martin Luther King out tremendously.
Mm.
I'm talking about he has a project that he has put on the Facebook page, and it's almost like I don't know what money is behind him, but it's a sophisticated project to dog Dr. Martin Luther King out and call Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King a communist, a Marxist, and taking history and distorting it, and he's developing followers. And the reason I say this is very important is because if we don't address it, and we don't address it, then 20 years from now, if we allow him to keep doing what he's doing, we're going to have problems getting our younger people because they're listening to this fool on the internet, responding to our issues. You know what I mean? Following this stupidity that this particular dude is spouting on the air. Please pull it up when you get a chance.
Chad Jackson.
I think it's Chad Jackson is his name.
All right.
Yes.
I'm on it.
Killer Mike had a conversation with him, and other people had a conversation with him, and he's all over the place. He's all over the place spreading this disgust about Dr. Martin Luther King and charging him with derailing our economic progress and derailing our political process. I mean, just charging Dr. King with all kinds of silly stuff. And to me, nobody is basically addressing it that needs to address it, and we need to attack it because this particular guy is a virus, and he's doing a lot of damage over the internet to young minds who don't know any better. And we already have a problem with young people misunderstanding Dr. King as it is. And this dude is going to a super extreme, so please check him out.
I got it.
If I got the name wrong, I'm going to call back and give it to your call screen.
Yeah, please, because I'm definitely going to, as soon as I go off there, I'm going to try to look it up, so make sure it's right. Thank you. Appreciate you. I got to go back to Trisha. Trisha's lighting me up today on the board. A lot of people light me up, but I mean, she's catching my attention. She says, I know that's right. She's talking to Destined Forever. She says, I never understood that logic. They published the book, Project 2025, and people still act surprised about them executing what they said they were going to do. I had to bring Trisha back up. They did not hide what they were going to do. Trisha's right. They told us. They published an 800-page book. Trump went all over this country talking about what they were going to do. And y'all say, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. A man told you to take, what was it, Clorox or something, during the pandemic. Drink bleach, that's what it was. And you don't believe he was going to do what he did? Just admit you blew it. Now let's correct. You blew it, so let's correct it. No excuses. We blew it. Let's correct it. Well, Kamala said, you blew it. Let's correct it. I don't care what Kamala did or didn't do. We didn't deserve what we got. Kill affordable care. Ending diversity, where people's jobs are gone. Federal workers off 3 or 4 months. We didn't deserve this. This ain't Kamala's fault. This is our fault. Kamala sleep would have been better than this man woke. And he ain't been there a year yet. We just into December. Bombing Venezuela, protecting Netanyahu. Going through, they attacked Putin's house and nobody, all these drones went at Putin's house and nobody can verify it. It wasn't like we didn't know. We saw what he did 16 to 20 and we went to sleep. Run around talking stupid. Oh, Kamala grins too much. What? What are you talking about? This man say he gonna end the Department of Education, where most of our people, that's the only way we got any schooling at all was public education. And you talking about her grinning? Rodney Jones, the mayor of Queensbridge Houses, says, where's the black moguls of hip hop? Why are they allowing this dumbing down of our young people? Rev was right years ago about the hip hop industry. We need a self-destruction part 2. I mean, they got the young lady rapper running around with Trump now and all up in Turning Point. And they ain't mad at her. They fighting over, gunfighting, shooting at each other, planning to kill each other over a record. And somebody goes and endorses people that's trying to wipe out the race. There ain't nobody in the hip-hop industry even taking that on. Because that will get you in trouble with the boss. That, I don't get into that. My record company may not like that. That gets you in trouble with the boss. You can shoot up folk in the bar and you can have East Coast, West Coast fight, all that. Atlanta versus New York, all that. But don't you get into grown folks' business, because you're a little boy, you're a little girl, and we'll slap you on the wrist, take your little contract. Because don't act like you free. You're under my chains. Just like in the days of your great-grandfather, we had Negroes out in the field singing slaves. You a rapping slave. Just a rapping slave. You rhyme while you pick my cotton. Let's go to Nicola in Tacoma, Washington. Nicola.
Sorry, we lost her.
Let me go to Mark in Houston, Texas. Mark, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Well, good afternoon, Loud Mouth. You doing all right this afternoon?
I'm doing
You
fine.
fired up, man.
I'm fine.
Man told me, he said you work out every morning. I know you work out every morning, but I've been trying to get one of those suits. I'm still giving you my address, so would you just mail me one of those clean suits, man? Because you can show up something. That's all I can tell you. But you know what this birthright situation, man? And I listened to that brother when he talked. We better be on this one, because you remember Trump? He talked about the first black man, president of the United States. He talked about his birthright, didn't he?
Started with that. That's what he started his career with. That's what he started with.
Yeah, he sure did. And do you think that this man might have an opportunity? I'm just saying, I don't know, but if the Supreme Court do what I think they do, and the Clarence Thomas sitting on that Supreme Court, do you think they can erase this man's history and take it? We just never know what they can do, because you're talking about us. He one of us, ain't he?
Well, I don't know I don't know.
I
know we got to be real careful, and I know what we can do. If we rise up, they'll back up. They've never donated it to us. We had to fight. We got to rise up. Thank you for your call, Mark. Let's go to Janet in Baltimore, Maryland. Janet.
Hi, Reverend Sharpton. Happy holidays to you.
Same to you.
Kwanzaa.
Same to you.
I don't know if I've asked you before, but I've asked a lot of people. So now I'm going to make sure that I ask, because it really makes no sense to me. If it takes 2/3 of the states, like 32 or 30 states, to change the Constitution, how do these not 9 judges, how do these 6 judges change it? I don't understand that. I don't understand
Well,
why.
because now let me preface it by saying it doesn't make sense, but the way they set up in the Constitution is the Supreme Court can rectify and change things in the law and in the Constitution. I think you raise a appropriate question. If it takes 2/3 referendum around the country to change, why do we allow 9 justices and 6 out of the 9 to rule it? And in many ways, they would forfeit or counterbalance or checkmate the will of people all over the country. I think that ought to be changed. That ought to be a part of the drive we do. I think you're absolutely right to raise the question, and I'm terrified with the answer that I have to give you, but I think the solution is we need to change that.
Yeah. I keep asking, why can't we sue the Supreme Court? Sue everybody else. Why not them?
That's right. I love it. Thank you for your call. I see Valerie Block Romero says, Reverend Tupac and I were there in person informing you we are in charge of that budget. Okay, I don't know who I'm talking to, but I did meet with Tupac several times, including I went and met with him in jail. And when he went to jail, I helped get him out of solitary. His mother asked me to go. And Tupac was conscious. Tupac was taking the rap game another way in terms of consciousness, and he was not a slave. And a lot of what they put on Tupac was to shut him down. He comes from a revolutionary family. So I don't remember who the person is. I wish they let me know who they are, but they are definitely telling the right story about what Tupac said to me and did with other things. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keep it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Keep it real.
It's time for a new course, a new coalition, a new leadership. Somebody got to rise above race, rise above sex. A new leadership, a choice, a chance. Don't cry about what you don't have. Use what you got. Everybody in town was scared of Goliath. We got more and more folk and fewer services. We cannot stop. We got to rise on higher. Little David. Little David. Took off his unnecessary garments. Little David. Didn't want to get weighted down with a lot of foolishness. Little David. Took what God gave him, a slingshot and a God biscuit, a rock.
No justice, no justice, no justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom, let my people go, go. We gonna shine and we shake. Give me a papa God, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
Racial discord, a blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing. And I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustling, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old, with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. He didn't just
We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
Thank God I was blessed to have both in my life. Both historic, strong figures. But if I misused them and listened to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are and why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant and unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward what you ought to be about tonight. Everybody good to you ain't good for you. Everybody that makes you laugh sometimes end up making you a joke.
Because they became strange fruit. I have these tears in my eyes today, Reverend.
Cause every generation of Islam.
Hey, Rev.
Yeah.
Where injustice goes, he follows.
30 years ago, Yusuf Hawkins was the young 16-year-old brother killed for being in a white neighborhood in Brooklyn. I got stabbed leading one of those marches.
Keeping it real with America's #1 civil rights leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
You live, Rev.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Let me go back to the message board. Valerie Black Romero, it said, Reverend Tupac and I were there in person informing you we were in charge of that budget. And we were freed by the judiciary. Okay. We included you. We were the ones that ran through your sermon. All right. Valerie's bringing it back to me. I am V Block. Okay, V Block. Fro Building. Okay, FOE. Let me, Valerie should call out 1-877-532-5797. And y'all you don't have to put it on the air. I just read a message. I want to be in touch with her. I'm going to make some time today if you can get a number on her or a text where I can text her. I'd like to come talk to her. I think I remember exactly who this is. Let's go back to the phone. Let's go to Miss Richardson, my friend in Chevy Chase, Maryland. Miss Richardson.
Yes, good afternoon, my darling.
Good afternoon.
You know, Reb, it's beaming sunny in Maryland, the state of Maryland, where I'm at. I don't know but what it is in Baltimore, because they always have a shift.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, yeah, here in Chevy, honey, it is so beamingly, beautifully sunny. I feel like going out on the patio because even though it's cold, it's about only like the early 30s or something, but they're saying that the wind chill factor, it's like 23 or 25 out there.
Yeah, it's about the same in New York. It's cold.
Yeah, and you're in, what part of New York is your studio? Are you in?
We have
you're not in Harlem?
The House of Justice is in Harlem that we do our rallies and stuff. But our corporate office I'm in is where the studio is in Times Square area. Where they're gonna drop the ball in 2 nights. We're about a block and a half away from there.
Oh, I see. Yeah, Harlem. Yeah. Okay, Reb, because that was initially where we created our Harlem Renaissance,
That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm. And Percy Sutton.
Yeah.
I just think of all the
Well,
entertainers.
Percy
you
Sutton
know.
was a great friend of mine, mentor of mine. He kind of came in when I was youth director for Jesse Jackson. He known me since I was 13 years old. I ended up preaching Percy Sutton's funeral. I did the eulogy at his funeral. Great man. First black man that really showed real power and owned radio stations all over the country. You know what you're talking about. He was a great man, a great man.
Oh, yeah, Red Preacher, because I tell you, he was wonderful. And my first husband, Oscar, we went to see him one time because my father originally, that's where, his old stand post was when he came to these shores in the New York harbor on that little boat or whatever it was that held white Jewish people. And he had a large family at that time. And when he had met the acquaintance of my mom, of course, I became a part of their family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was the way it was back at that time frame. And so anyway, I'm the survivor, the youngest, because I had 4 brothers and 4 sisters and myself. 9 of us total, but I was the only one that he had by, a Negro descent woman, African, and she was a Heinz 50. Rev, you ever hear the saying Heinz 57?
No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, she was a blend of the Heinz 57 crew, my mom. She had Italian, she had about 4 different DNAs in her system. But anyway, this thing about Jefferson and Franklin, I heard something on C-SPAN. Now, this is what I've heard, Rev. I want to get your reaction because there were scholars, people talking on there that Jefferson, at the ending of his life, he wanted to preserve the slavery and preserve the 3/5 human claw. Hamilton was speaking against it. Hamilton wanted black people to be free, not slaves, the way that Thomas Jefferson. But, as a social worker, when I didn't stay in it long, I began having children. I went out the window like Pop Goes the Weasel. But anyway, when I was in social work, it just seemed like you could see these things going on with the black families and things. And Thomas Jefferson wanted to preserve slavery. Hamilton was the one that wanted to, he was making arguments against Jefferson. Now, when Jefferson was younger in his years, he was putting forth that he was trying to be a part of that arena of freeing the slaves. Then he met this woman and had a black daughter. I guess you could call her, what would they call, Creoles or whatever, I don't know. She was a fair complected, I believe, daughter of Thomas Jefferson. And, in his younger years, he was putting forth this effort to try to take the stand of being for, those slaves. And then when they would start being auctioned off and stuff, he didn't speak too much about it in his later life when he got over 50 years old. It was Hamilton that was speaking we should free them and make black citizens like us. Of course, remarkably, I didn't know all that, and I had taught some school. I was a substitute teacher for years at Southwest Washington, D.C. Anyway, and I didn't know that. So there's things that went on, honey, in those books that we don't know about. Blacks need to get educated because there's teachers out here that don't even know these things. So we just can't point fingers and say, oh, you should have known this and you should have known. They have set us up in such a big way that they've broken the true emphasis and true meaning of black people. They broken it. The Anglo-Saxon, and black men are scared to death to mention the word Anglo-Saxon. They'll beat up all on a white Jewish person to the hilt. But when it comes to the Anglo-Saxons, they keep their mouth shut. They'll just say, oh, the European. So we got to get away from that for the new year. See, we have to make resolutions to really try to think what we can do to save our people, Red, because we're the ones at the bottom. When you really look at it, I mean, there are talk show hosts, black talk show hosts, black, not white, saying that we are a permanent underclass now. That's what black talk show hosts are saying. You know, they're on the Democratic side because I never hear them talk for any respectable Republican that would not be a part of Trump. They don't even speak to them. They just are totally Democratic, and something that they hear from your mouth that's going to side with them, then they won't want you to talk. And that's not the Constitution. It's just not.
Hello? Did we lose it? Hello? Hello?
Oh, yeah, we lost her.
You got to talk to me. I don't know what's going on.
She just hung up on us. Sorry. We got Reverend Qualron, though.
Okay, but you got to talk to me.
Yep, we just lost her.
All right. I think we just lost something happened to her phone. Let us go. We're joined now, as we are every Tuesday at this hour, by the senior pastor of the First Corinthian Baptist Church in Harlem, the Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron. How you doing, Reverend?
Pretty good, Reverend Sharpton. How are you today?
I'm doing well. We've been talking about, as we wind down this year, and what we need to be preparing ourselves for next year. And I keep telling people that don't make resolutions that they're not going to keep, and
right.
Stop, stop fooling yourself, because you're not going to fool nobody else. But that we are really in trouble in this political, socio-political climate. And let's talk about it after the break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Dallas. I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is, as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talent in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in,
It's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself.
Some people report the news, others interpret it, but there are those who transform it into truth. Ari Melba has redefined journalism with intellect, creativity, and courage. He blends culture and current events, politics and poetry, truth and transparency. And in doing so, he reminds us that storytelling is a sacred work. Ari understands that our narratives shape our nation, and he has used his platform to highlight issues that matter to the people, not just to the powerful. Tonight, we honor him for bridging art and activism, for using his voice to educate, inspire, and empower. Join me, please, in celebrating Ari Melba, recipient of the President's Award of Historic Transformative Leadership.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. How are you guys doing? First of all, Babyface is 67 years old. We might need a fact check on that. What an honor to be up here with Rev and everyone else. When Rev started out, they said, he's just doing this to get on TV. Now he has a TV show. He kept along and they said, well, he's just setting himself up to run for office, be a politician. Now he has the politicians coming here to be accountable to you. We're celebrating his 71st birthday, God bless. I don't think he's planning to run for office in his late 70s or 80s, although people do that nowadays. I don't know if you've heard. So as far as I can tell, maybe he was doing it for the people. Maybe he was doing it for voting rights and human rights and being an advocate for people in communities where when bad things do happen, they don't have a local advocate or a federal advocate. Or suddenly it doesn't feel like they have anyone who cares about what's happening to them. So it's funny, in the middle you can't always prove the case, but by this stage in his illustrious contributions to the United States, he's doing it for everyone. So shout out to Rev. I'm really honored to get this award. My grandmother was a refugee. My father's an immigrant. Like a lot of other people that I get to interact with, I'm very aware that my worst days are better than some of their best days. And so I keep that in mind, and I know Rev does and a lot of other people do. This award was called Leadership in the Arts. I'm honored by it. I love the arts. I won't say whether I've ascended to being a leader in the arts, but I will share with you the leaders I learned from. I learned civil rights from Sam Cooke. I learned about colonialism from Bob Marley. I learned about activism from Gil Scott-Heron. He said the revolution will not be televised. We're working on that. Reb and I are working on that. I learned about the media from KRS-One. I learned about politics from Public Enemy. I learned about police brutality from Tupac and about feminism from Lauryn Hill. So when I was growing up, I did okay in school, but I was quickly learning as a teenager there was all of these parts that weren't in the official story, but they were true. So yes, we try to reflect some of that in our reporting. In times like this right now in America, art and free speech are under attack. It's not just the historians, bless them. It's not just the normal newspaper reporters, bless them. It's also the comedians, from Kimmel to D.L. Hughley. It's also the artists. We've seen the crackdowns on people who sing or share their thoughts through other forms of expression. And so, in a moment like this, as we've seen in, unfortunately, other countries around the world, it feels like just telling the truth becomes a radical act. That's a bad sign for the health of your democracy. But the truth can help redeem our democracy. So I'll end with a bar. Is that all right? Should we do one bar? From New York's own Jay-Z, Sean Carter, Ho. He's talking about people that might not be.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. Reverend Michael A. Walron is our co-host. Reverend Walron, how do you counsel people in your church, in the broader community, and around the nation as you have satellites now in West Coast and beyond? How should people approach in this hostile environment the new year and what they resolve themselves to not only do in the new year, but becoming the new year, that will affect them personally, as well as deal with the whole broader community that we found ourselves under siege?
I would say two things, Rev. One personal, and then one that I think speaks to your secondary, which is more communal / social transformational. So I think that one, like you said, I heard you say right before the break, how people come to New Year's with all these new desires and hopes things are going to get done. And what I often remind people is that January 1st is not a magic pill, a magic antidote. If you've not practiced certain habits up until then, a new day is not going to all of a sudden change outcomes that are not connected to new practices and new habits. So if you often see, I saw someone put on social media the other day a picture of what gyms look like on January 1st and 2nd, or rather January 2nd, how the gyms are packed. 2 weeks later, the gyms are not so packed. And I said, because it shows gyms on that January 2nd, loaded. You couldn't even find an equipment to use. And the next image was 2 weeks later, you could find anything.
Right.
I think because people somehow think with this new year may come a new possibility. Now, that's true. But the new you now going to be transformed in 24 hours. And so if you don't have discipline, habits connected to whatever the goal is that you desire, and you've not changed habits or practices, but you then have the expectation of a different kind of outcome, that's unrealistic. that means you'll ride that wave of energy for a little bit, but it'll fade. And so it won't last for the long haul, because to see any transformation, it has to be consistency and intentionality around certain practices to see the results you want or the desired outcomes that you want to see, but not a lack of realism to say, oh, you haven't gone to the gym in all of 2025, and all of a sudden you're going to wake up at 5:30 in the morning on January 2nd, you're going to keep this practice for a week. It's not going to happen that way. So I remind people, the change you want to see is a powerful goal. Make sure that with the change that you do the necessary shift in practices, new habits, new patterns, new rituals that honor the desired outcome that you want to see. I think secondly, on the social level, given this political climate right now and cultural climate, there are many things you could tell someone to be mindful of. But I would tell you what I think is more important now than ever before. I think there was a time, Rev, you could have said that we need to be truth tellers. And what I'm seeing now, Rev, is that we need to be also truth seekers, because there's so much bad information, misinformation. Some people can't tell the distinction between AI-generated videos and real videos,
right?
AI-generated headlines and real headlines. That there has to be some level of intention and commitment to seek truth and to have real experiences. I think that's one of the things you have to do, because we get bombarded with such misinformation, you can get desensitized and disengaged, versus having the kind of, doing the work rather, that you can perceive, well, this is not real. I can look at certain videos and I'm like, this is not a real video. But there's some who can't necessarily discern that way. Like, at the same time, you'll see social media put up all kind of videos. I saw a video, Rev, one time that looked like a real news correspondent that said, Donald Trump has admitted his part in the whole Epstein thing. Somebody literally sent me the video, and then they sent me an attached note basically, Rep, I'm so glad he finally admitted what he did. This person said to me.
Wow.
And I'm like, this is not real.
Wow.
I'm like, this is not real.
Wow.
So I had to tell him this is not, I said to him this, I said, if this had really happened, don't you think that every news outlet, every newspaper we dropping this story right now? But see, you know what I also realized, Rev? It plays into this idea that people want to feel like they're the first to get this new information, this new knowledge of something, even if it's not real. We love the idea of feeling like we got some inside scoop, even if the inside scoop is something that's completely fake.
Right. And not only do I know you're right, you have a hard time convincing people that they didn't get the scoop. They're gonna argue with you. No.
Right.
This is real. And I didn't have a situation around Trump, but a situation around someone else, that someone sent me a video and said, man, can you believe this? And I text back, this is not real. This is AI fabricated. No, Reb, I'm telling you, I know what I'm talking about. I said, I host a TV show. I just called the newsroom over there. If NBC don't know it, it didn't come out on social media. Who you think you're talking to? And it took me 5 minutes to convince them that the only one that believed this was the person that put it out and them. Because we want that status, that we on the end, that you're exactly right. And Lord knows you're right about everybody exercise the first 2 days of the year and then go get them some banana pudding. It is amazing how the first week, I know because I work out every morning, as you know. I know before I go down to the gym I work at in the building that it's going to be crowded on maybe January 2nd. Because a lot of them won't be there on the 1st because they still overcoming what they did on New Year's Eve night. But they'll be there the 2nd, 3rd. But by the 4th, 5th, I'm in there by myself, 5 in the morning. Believe me. And you're right.
Oh, yeah.
And I think people ought to really make up their mind this time that we need to resolve things, make resolutions that we are going to keep, even if it's one or two minor ones. Practice discipline that I'm going to say this and I'm going to be able to go to December 31st. I tell you something I never said in public. Every time I come out the gym in the morning, wherever I am, hotel, home, wherever, I write down how long I was on the elliptical, how many calories I burned, this, that, or the other, if I did weights that day. And I keep a record. And at the end of the year, I go back over my record. By writing it down, it makes me know I'm doing something.
And
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, people need to keep a log on themselves because you will
Mm-hmm.
be able to see in writing that you are taught what James Brown is saying, like a dull knife just won't cut it, talking loud, saying nothing. Everybody got loud talk on New Year's Day, but where are you by
Mm-hmm.
January 10th? You are exactly right.
I think I will add to what you said, because what you just said, Rev, is so true. I will also add is that they need to, with developing new habits and practices, they need to set goals that they can truly celebrate. Because what happens in this is that we set goals that we can't celebrate. So if I tell myself, Rev, today's the 30th, and I sit here and tell myself, now come January 2nd, I'm gonna get up every day. I'm going to go to the gym at 5:30 in the morning, and this is going to be it. This is the year. Every day at 5:30, I'm going to get up and go. So you get up on the 2nd, you get up on the 3rd, and like you said, you get up on the 4th, and maybe maybe I'll skip to that. And the next day, the part of the problem is that you didn't set a goal that you could celebrate.
Right.
You set a goal that was unrealistic. To celebrate says, okay, I ain't been to the gym in 7 months. So this first week of the new year, I want to get to the gym twice.
Right. That's right.
That way you take the pressure off yourself.
Do what
but
you
also
can do.
can do something that you can actually celebrate and progress in.
No, it's just like a guy that used to travel with me years ago, one of my travel assistants. He'd get up and go to the gym with me 5 o'clock every morning on the road. But he'd sit there and eat 4 links of sausages, grits, dripping with butter and eggs, and watch me work out. He went every day, but he didn't go to work out. He worked out a fork. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Walron. Be right back. Keeping it real.
$5,000.
London, yeah. We've got many problems there. We need you over our side. Yeah, you're invited anytime, please. Whenever you want to come.
There we go.
Guys! What's up, Doc?
So we are in not a political dilemma, we are in a moral dilemma. And if the black church does not come with a prophetic voice, then who's going to do it? We can go through all the data, all the statistics, all we're going through in the workshops, but the question is, where is the action going to be? We all believe in Jesus. Jesus didn't teach theology, he healed people. And they learned the nature of the theology based on his healing. We got to heal this nation. And if we heal this nation, the nation will return to our churches. But we've become silent and compromised. And we try to blame it on, I'm not in this. You are in this. You live it, your members live it. Unemployment now is higher now than it's been since the pandemic. Yet we survive.
Yes, sir.
There's no history in the world of any people that went through the kind of psychological, cultural, and physical slavery like blacks did in America. The only reason we're still here is because of our faith. We had no external strength. We had an internal strength. And it was the God that we were taught by our mamas and grandmamas that brought us through. And I don't care who's sitting in the White House, we cannot betray the God that brought us through.
and I think that is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes Blacks. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight in the courts and the streets, because they are literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunity, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they started at Harvard with a Black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, it ain't some people who put together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation. Then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back to themselves.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It's Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building. Here at the National Action Network, it's about thanks. It's about giving. It's about gratitude. It's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude, it starts with giving, it starts with peace, it starts with love. Let's go.
Before we feed our family, we got to make sure that we feed the community. That's right. That's what it's all about. We got to come with Sharpton phones. You come and you make sure you show up, serve the community. That's what it's all about.
Your life, Ref.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron is our co-host. Don't forget, Saturday and Sunday, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. It's going to be hot this weekend, both nights kicking off the year. Really challenging some of our governors and senators, as well as some of our experts, on what it is we are going to do. ACA expires tomorrow night. I want some definitive, real
answers on what can be done, what they're going to do. We're dealing with redistricting of the Supreme Court. If they go against us, what they're going to do. New Year's shows. Make sure you tuning in. And then you that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, meet me Saturday morning at the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue in the village of Harlem, 145th and Lenox. 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., our first rally for 26. I'm having the theme, we're going to straighten out tricks in 26, and I'm going to lay out our agenda for 26. You need to be in the house. You that are not in the New York and vicinity, you can watch it live on Impact Television, the only black-owned national television cable network, gospel-oriented. And, of course, you that cannot get Impact can go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. We also will be giving a tribute to Richard Smallwood, who passed today, a great musical giant. Dr. Walron, what's going on at FCBC?
And tomorrow night is our New Year's Eve service, Rev. 9:30, the doors open. Service starts at 10 p.m. First Corinthian Baptist Church in Harlem. So we're looking forward to that. And then Sunday, the first Sunday of the year, we have a special Sunday. We are ordaining 15 deacons during that worship service.
Oh, wow.
So 15 new deacons are being ordained on the first Sunday of the year. That should be a big deal. First time I've ever done it on the first Sunday of the year, but it's going to be a great celebration.
One of the things that, when you talk about the first of the year, and I'm giving away part of what I'm going to break down Saturday, is that one of the things that used to be done, not done as often, is that on January 1st, we used to have Emancipation Day celebrations.
Mm-hmm.
Because when Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, it said that on January 1st, the slaves in the slave-holding states would be free. And people waited all night, our great-grandparents, to see if Lincoln's word was true. They waited all night to see the clock strike 12 so they could walk off the plantation. And a lot of the reason why I think we need to get back to that, and I'm going to talk about it in depth Saturday, is that it taught the children history. So people talk about, well, Emancipation Day, Proclamation Day is just a ceremonial. But if you tell the whole story, you're telling your children and grandchildren our sojourn. You'd be surprised the amount of young people today that don't even know the story. I was talking to some people the other night that I was saying to them, you must understand, we at our age, and you're younger than me, but even at your age, don't understand there are children today that were born at a time when it was not strange to them that we had a black president and black family in the White House. They were like 10 years old. So they don't understand what we're talking about because they didn't live that life. We grew up or at a time when that was not feasible. They grew up at a time, well, we had a black president. We had a black woman vice president. What are y'all talking about? And you and I have got to teach that history so they understand where that came from and then go back into how they're trying to retreat. People don't know what Trump's trying to take from us because they don't know how we got it.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. I think it's saying that in our advertisement for service tomorrow, all the advertisements, we still, even though I said New Year's service, our advertisement still says watch night service.
Right.
So, because we keep that as part of the language, and it's a particular language for us. As you said, watch night meant something. It might not mean people who don't have that history, who don't know why we called it that, but we still call it that in all of our social media, our advertising. We still call it watch night because like you said, there's a larger narrative connected to it, not just being the beginning of a new year, but the waiting for the onset of freedom. I mean, and if truth be told, the whole lot of us who still looking and waiting for the onset of freedom.
And a whole lot of us that don't understand the absence of freedom
or the retreat on it because we've never experienced it. So when I tell young people, they literally had laws against blacks being able to do certain things. I'm not talking about custom. I'm not talking about where you just knew better. It was law. And that's why when the brother called earlier about birthright, that Jihad brought back, about birthright citizenship, that was based on Dred Scott. We absolutely identify with anybody enslaved, anybody that was discriminated against, that faced prejudice. But we're the only ones in this country that they wrote in the law books what you could do to Negroes. And our people need to understand that. And when I say that, I had a young white student say to me, well, now I understand y'all are not overreacting. No, we're not overreacting. We're underreacting because this was the law.
Right. No, absolutely. That is underreacting because I don't think people understand that, as you said, even our young people in our own communities, to realize that there was intentional and strategic system put in place to undermine one's greatest possibilities, to undermine one's dignity, to undermine one's humanity. And it was legal, right? To devalue black bodies and black life. It was legal. Like, I don't think people understand that. And that it was illegal to read at one point.
Illegal.
In this history for black, illegal for a black person to read because of the laws around slavery. I mean, that is real.
And you'd be prosecuted if you were white caught teaching a slave how to read.
Caught teaching, absolutely. That's real. And I think the one way that you ruin the possibility of a people's historical recollection is to dismiss the pain associated with the trauma.
Yeah.
And so that's what you see a lot of people trying to dismiss the pain connected to it. But unless you've seen people shed tears, I remember being a young man in elementary school, and my teacher at the time, she was in her 40s, but she grew up in Alabama.
Right.
And to hear her talk about what she experienced growing up in the segregation, and to see this woman, I was 10 years old, but to see her start crying just in classroom sharing these stories,
right,
it was real.
No,
you know, this is someone who lived through and she felt the pain of it.
Well, my mother was from Dothan, Abbeville, Alabama, and my mother taught me. She bought me. I never got. I was about 8 or 9 years old. I was already a boy preacher. She bought me and my sister a set of encyclopedias and made us read it. And I thought it was torture till she told me the story that when she was growing up in Dothan, they were not allowed to go to certain schools. They couldn't read. They had to go out and work in the fields and then come back, and they learned, manual labor. And when she got through telling me that, when I would go out, when I got my teens, I'd get on a train as a sign of rebellion. I'd have the biggest book I can and open it up and just read it, looking at whites on the train. I know it was just my old thing, but literally, I ain't talking about back in history. I'm talking about my mama. And my daddy could not go to school to learn how to read and write. This is 100 years after slavery because they still were training them to just use their hands. Because this is in the 30s and 40s. They had me in the 50s. So I think that when we give people a sense of history, it's not to give them a sense of resentment. It's to give them a sense of responsibility. Because you have a responsibility to live the dreams that your parents and grandparents couldn't live, but fought for you to be able to.
Yeah, and I think for us, and I say that of a particular era, it was a sense of responsibility, but now it has become a sense of reality, especially when you got young people who buy into certain narratives and say, wasn't as bad as it seemed.
Yeah,
or it didn't exist the way they say. It is helping them understand the reality of what happened in this country, the reality of the brutality, the reality of the debasement. That was real. That's not myth. That's not legend. That's not hyperbole. That's not exaggeration. And I think a lot of young people, one, kind of erase of history, and two, as you said, being alive in an era where they saw a black president and saw a black family in the White House, took that for granted. And if they were old enough at the time it happened, man, as you said, man, with children, they would have understood the tears that night. when he won. Those real tears.
Yeah.
Especially the tears from people who knew the sting of segregation.
Right.
And the sting and pain connected to racism. Those are hard-won and hard-fought tears that night.
No question. No question. And someone who knew the people that got killed to get us the right to vote. You got to remember that when John Lewis and Jesse Jackson and them went into Selma, Goodman, Cheney, and Swanner got killed around that time. They knew some of the people that died. And to be standing up there that night and see a black president and knowing in your own mind with your own eyes you saw the people that died to give us that. They were looking at Dr. King when he got killed. And to go from the balcony on Memphis to the balcony of the White House, and you're going to talk about, did he really mean them tears? Are you serious? Do you understand the journey that we have gone through? And we all got our little personality deficiencies. But the price that was paid and the reason they paid it is us. And I hope we resolve that as we put together our New Year's resolution. I hear the music got to go. Let me thank Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron. Let me thank all of you that called in, listened in, you that called in, listened in, all went on the message board but couldn't get through. I'll be on tomorrow. I'm on New Year's Eve, so you can get through tomorrow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. I'll talk to you tomorrow.